You know that kind of pain that doesn't scream. It just sits in your chest like a weight you can't lift? Yeah, that's what I felt when I realized my own brother didn't invite me to his wedding. I remember staring at the photos online, trying to smile through the ache. Everyone looked so happy, except him. My brother. His smile was off, like something behind it wasn't right, and a month later, I found out why. Because the truth didn't come from him. It came from his wife, on camera. She sent me a video message that began with, "I need you to see this before it's too late." And from that moment, my world shifted. But before I tell you what she said, before you judge me or him, let me take you back. Because this story isn't just about a wedding I missed. It's about lies that grew in silence, and the truth that tore our family apart. And trust me, if you think your family's got drama, you might want to grab a drink for this one. So, if you're ready for a story where love, betrayal, and revenge collide, hit that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and stay with me. Because what I'm about to share will change the way you look at family forever. Growing up, my brother and I were inseparable. We were those annoying siblings who finished each other's sentences, shared secret jokes, and covered for each other whenever we got in trouble. He was the calm one, the peacemaker. I was the loud, emotional one who always believed love could fix anything. Funny how life teaches you that love can sometimes be the weapon that breaks you instead. Things started changing a few years ago. Slowly. Almost like someone dimmed the light between us, one argument at a time. It began when he met her, his fiancée, the woman who would later become his wife. At first she seemed perfect. Kind, polite, and always smiling like she had it all figured out. I wanted to like her, I really did. But there was something about the way she looked at me. Too calculating, too observant, like she was trying to read my weaknesses instead of knowing me. I remember one night after dinner, she asked me almost casually, "Do you and your brother always talk this much?" It sounded like a joke, but the way she said it, it felt like a warning. I laughed it off, but from that night, he started talking to me less. Calls got shorter, texts turned into one-word replies, and every time I visited, she found a reason to leave the room when I arrived. Or worse, whisper something to him before he followed her out. At first, I thought I was imagining things. You know when your mind starts to build stories to explain the silence? But no, this was real. The distance wasn't just emotional, it was orchestrated. Our family started noticing too. My mom would ask, "Did you say something to upset him?" My dad avoided the topic altogether, like pretending there wasn't a problem made it go away. Then came the engagement announcement. I found out about it through a cousin's Facebook post. No call, no message, nothing. Just a smiling picture of the two of them holding hands, captioned, "Forever starts here." I stared at that photo for a long time. My heart didn't break. It cracked quietly, like glass under pressure. I told myself maybe he was busy, maybe it was a misunderstanding, so I reached out. I texted him, "Hey, congrats. I'm so happy for you." He replied 2 days later with just one word, "Thanks." That was it. No heart emoji, no phone call, nothing. It was like talking to a stranger who happened to have my brother's number. Weeks passed, and wedding planning talk spread through the family. Everyone assumed I was invited. I kept waiting for the message, the call, anything. But nothing came. So one evening, I asked my mom directly, "When's the wedding date?" She went quiet. That kind of silence that says more than words ever could. Finally, she sighed and said, "Maybe it's better if you don't go." That sentence still echoes in my head. Better if you don't go. Better for who? The day of the wedding came. I told myself I wouldn't look. I wouldn't check social media. But who am I kidding? Curiosity is cruel. I saw everything online. The flowers, the smiles, the laughter. Everyone dressed in colors of celebration. And then there was him, my brother, looking like a man wearing someone else's happiness. His smile didn't reach his eyes. I zoomed in, paused, stared. There was something behind that grin. Guilt, fear, maybe both. I cried that night. Not the loud, dramatic kind of cry, just quiet tears that burn because they don't stop easily. I kept asking myself, what did I do so wrong to deserve this? I replayed every conversation, every fight, every memory trying to find the moment he decided I didn't belong in his life anymore. After the wedding, he didn't reach out. Not even once. It was as if I had been erased, like I never existed in his version of family. And yet deep down, something felt unfinished, like there was a missing piece of the puzzle no one was willing to talk about. Then one day, a message popped up on my phone from an unknown number. It was her, his wife, the same woman who stood beside him while I watched from afar. She wrote, "We need to talk. There are things you don't know." And just like that, my heart started racing again. The night before the wedding, I told myself I was over it, that I'd moved on. I even made plans to go out with a friend, pretending it was just another Saturday. But deep down, I couldn't fool myself. I knew what day it was. I knew where he'd be standing, what song they'd play, what smile he'd wear for the cameras. Around noon, my phone started buzzing with messages. Cousins posting stories, friends tagging me in wedding photos by accident. I told myself not to look, but of course I did. Every image felt like a small punch to the chest. There he was, my brother, standing under a canopy of lights, hand in hand with her. They looked perfect. Too perfect. Almost rehearsed, and yet in every photo something was off. His smile looked strained. Her eyes didn't hold joy. They held something else. Fear, maybe, or guilt. It's strange how you can sense emotion even through a screen. I knew my brother too well. That wasn't his real smile. Scrolling through those pictures, I noticed something odd. No family photo. None with our parents, none with close relatives. It was all curated. Friends, distant cousins, business associates. The kind of wedding that looked more like a show than a celebration. It felt less like love and more like distraction. I remember zooming into one particular photo. My brother cutting the cake. Everyone cheering, confetti falling, but his eyes weren't on her. They were somewhere else. He looked lost, and for a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there staring at my phone, wondering what could have gone so wrong between us. The pain turned into anger, and anger turned into a kind of numbness. I thought, fine. If he wants me gone, then I'll stay gone. But grief doesn't work like that. It sneaks up when you least expect it. A week later, I went to our parents' house, hoping someone would mention him. But no one did. It was like an unspoken rule. His name was off limits. When I asked my mom if he'd called, she just said, "He's busy, dear. Married life." But her eyes, they told a different story. They looked tired, scared even. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew louder. Every time the phone rang, a part of me hoped it was him. It never was. Instead, I got updates through whispers. From relatives, neighbors, friends of friends. They're moving in together. He seems distant. She's been crying lately. None of it made sense. But one thing was clear. Something wasn't right in their perfect little marriage. Then came the video. It started circulating among relatives, a highlight reel of the wedding, all smiles and sparkle. I watched it out of curiosity, half hoping I'd find some peace seeing them happy. But instead I noticed something strange. Every time my brother looked at the camera, his expression shifted for a split second, like he wanted to say something, but couldn't. Like he was trapped. I replayed that video a dozen times, frame by frame. My gut told me there was more to this story, something hidden behind all the glitter and laughter. Around that time, I started getting anonymous calls. No voice, just breathing. Once I heard a faint whisper, my name. Then silence. I'd hang up, heart pounding, telling myself it was just a prank. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. It was connected to him. Somehow. One night, as I sat scrolling through old photos of us as kids, I caught myself smiling. We used to dream about growing old together, raising our kids side by side, and now, I didn't even know if he'd pick up if I called. I thought about reaching out one last time, to end the silence, to get closure. But before I could, life made the first move, a knock on my door, a voice I didn't expect. When I opened it, she was standing there, his wife, pale, nervous, eyes red like she hadn't slept in days. She took a shaky breath and said, "Please, can I come in?" I didn't know what to say. For a moment I just stood there, frozen, staring at her like she was some kind of ghost from a life I'd already buried. Her hair was messy, her face pale, and her hands were trembling as she clutched her phone like it was the only thing holding her together. She looked nothing like the woman from the wedding photos. No perfect smile, no confident glow. "Just broken. Please," she said again, her voice shaking. I didn't know where else to go. I stepped aside. She walked in quietly, eyes darting around the room like she expected my brother to jump out from the shadows. The air between us was heavy, uncomfortable. She sat down, clutching her bag, and for a long moment neither of us spoke. You could hear the clock ticking, each second stretching like it wanted to make me suffer. Finally, I broke the silence. "What are you doing here?" Her lips parted, but no words came out. Instead, tears started rolling down her face. She wiped them quickly, embarrassed. "You have every reason to hate me," she whispered. "But please, just listen before you tell me to leave." I didn't say a word. I just nodded, curious, confused, and a little afraid of what was coming next. She took a deep breath and said something I'll never forget. "You weren't supposed to be left out of the wedding." At first, I thought she was trying to ease her guilt, but then she added, "They made sure you weren't invited. They made me believe things that weren't true, lies about you, about your past." My heart started racing. They? Who were they? She reached into her bag and pulled out a small flash drive. "Everything's on this," she said softly. "Your brother doesn't know I'm here, but he deserves to know the truth, and so do you." I stared at that little piece of metal like it was a bomb ready to go off. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to know what was inside. But I also couldn't look away. "Why now?" I finally asked. "Why tell me this after everything?" Her voice broke. "Because I can't live with it anymore." I thought I could ignore it, pretend it wasn't my problem, but it's eating him alive. He hasn't been the same since the wedding. And I know what they did to you isn't fair. Her words felt heavy, almost rehearsed, like she'd been holding them in for too long. She leaned forward, her eyes desperate. "Please, just watch the video. You'll understand everything." I could see she was terrified, not of me, but of something else. "Someone else? Are you in danger?" I asked quietly. She hesitated, glancing toward the window as if someone might be watching. "If he finds out I'm here, I will be," she whispered. That was all it took. I grabbed the flash drive and told her I'd look at it. She nodded quickly, then stood up. "I have to go," she said, her voice barely audible. "Please don't call him." "Not yet." As she reached the door, she turned back one last time. "When you see what's on that video," she said, "you'll understand everything. Why you were never meant to be there." Then she left. Just like that, the house fell silent again. I stood there, the flash drive in my hand, heart pounding so hard I could hear it. Whatever truth she'd brought with her, it wasn't just about a wedding. It was about something much darker. I didn't open the video that night. I couldn't. It sat on my desk, that tiny flash drive, almost daring me to plug it in. I stared at it for hours, trying to convince myself it was all just a misunderstanding, that she was overreacting, that there wasn't really a dark truth. But the longer I waited, the heavier the air in my house felt. Like the truth itself was suffocating me. The next morning I gave in. I closed the curtains, locked the door, and plugged it in. There was only one file. No title, no label, just a date. The day of the wedding. My hand shook as I hit play. The video started with shaky footage, a room I didn't recognize, dimly lit, the sound of muffled voices in the background. The camera adjusted, and then I saw him, my brother, sitting on a couch, head in his hands. He looked exhausted, like he hadn't slept in days. Across from him sat her, his fiancée, now wife. She was crying. I could hear her voice, low but clear. "You don't have to do this if you don't want to." And then his answer, a voice I knew better than my own. "I don't have a choice. They made it clear. If she comes, everything falls apart." My heart dropped. He meant me. He continued, voice cracking. "You don't understand. They said if she's there, the secret comes out. They'll ruin everything. You, me, all of us." She tried to calm him, reaching out to hold his hand, but he pulled away. "You don't know my family like I do," he said bitterly. "They'll do whatever it takes to keep their image clean, even if it means destroying her." I paused the video, tears blurring my vision. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the mouse. My family? My own parents? What secret could they possibly be protecting that involved me? I pressed play again. The video cut to another scene, a recording from what looked like a hidden camera. My parents' living room. My mother, my father, and my brother sitting together. My father spoke first. "She's not coming." "That's final." My brother looked angry. "She's your daughter. You can't just pretend she doesn't exist." My mother's voice came next, cold and sharp. "You don't understand what's at stake. She's already done enough damage. We won't let her embarrass us again." Embarrass them? I had no idea what they were talking about. Then my father leaned forward. "If she shows up, I'll tell everyone the truth about her. What she did when she was 19. The whole family will know." I froze. 19. That was the year I left home for good. The year everything fell apart between me and them. But they didn't know what really happened. They only knew what they wanted to believe. My brother lowered his voice. "She didn't do anything wrong," he said. "You blamed her for your mistakes." My mother slapped the table. "Enough! We're not having her ruin another family event." "She's not welcome." The camera shook slightly, then went black. For a few seconds, all I could hear was my own breathing. Then the screen faded into another clip, this time recorded by my sister-in-law. Her face appeared on the screen, eyes red from crying. "If you're watching this," she said softly, "it means I couldn't stay quiet anymore. I believed what they told me about you. They said you tried to destroy your family's reputation, that you'd caused a scandal, that you hated your brother. I thought I was protecting him by keeping you away, but I was wrong. They lied to both of us." Her voice trembled as she continued. "He wanted to reach out, but they threatened him too. They said if he contacted you, they'd cut him off financially. He was trapped between loyalty and fear, and I helped them without even realizing it." I felt my throat tighten. I had spent years blaming myself, thinking I was the problem, when all along I'd been the scapegoat. The video ended with one final message from her. "You deserve to know the truth. Your brother still loves you, but he's scared. Please don't hate him. Hate the people who made him choose." When the screen went black, I just sat there, silent. Every memory, every argument, every cold glance from my parents suddenly made sense. They hadn't just turned my brother against me. They'd rewritten the story of our entire family. And now, the truth was in my hands. I didn't realize how long I'd been sitting there until the light outside started to fade. The house was quiet, but my head was loud. Every word, every voice from that video echoing inside me. It felt like someone had pulled the floor from under my life. For years I'd blamed myself for a distance I didn't create, and now I finally knew why. I couldn't sleep that night. I kept replaying my brother's face in the video, the guilt in his eyes, the exhaustion in his voice. He hadn't betrayed me because he wanted to. He'd done it because he was scared. But scared of what? Of them? Of losing everything they promised him? By sunrise, I'd made up my mind. I wasn't going to stay silent anymore. I called him. He didn't pick up. Not the first time, not the second. On the third try, he answered, his voice tight, careful. "Hey," he said quietly, like he already knew why I was calling. "We need to talk," I said. "Now." He hesitated, then whispered, "You saw it, didn't you?" "Yes." A long pause followed. I could hear him breathing on the other end. Then he said, "Meet me at the lake, the old spot." The lake, our childhood escape, the place we used to run to when things at home got bad. I drove there faster than I should have, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. He was already there, sitting on the same old bench, staring at the water. For a moment, I almost didn't recognize him. He looked older, heavier with guilt. When he saw me, he stood up but didn't move closer. We just stared at each other, two strangers with the same blood. "You should have told me," I said. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I wanted to, every day, but you know them. They don't forgive. They don't forgive." I laughed bitterly. "For what? For being honest? For leaving?" He looked down. "You don't understand." Dad said. "I don't care what Dad said." I snapped. "He's been controlling both of us our whole lives. And you let him. You let them erase me!" His voice broke. I didn't have a choice. They threatened everything. My job, my marriage, the house. You don't know what they're capable of. "Then you should have stood up for me," I said quietly. "I would have stood for you." He didn't argue. He just looked at me, tears forming. "I know," he whispered, "and that's what kills me." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The wind moved across the water, carrying the weight of everything we didn't say. Then I asked the question I'd been holding back since the moment I watched that video. What was the secret, really? What were they so afraid I'd reveal? He hesitated. I could see it in his eyes, that same fear from the video. "It wasn't you," he finally said. "It was Dad, the business, the money. They hid things for years, taxes, fraud, fake accounts. You found out when you were 19, didn't you? That's why you left." The memories came flooding back. The night I overheard my father arguing on the phone, the paperwork I found, the way he screamed when I confronted him. Back then, I thought it was just a misunderstanding. I didn't realize I'd stumbled into the one truth that could destroy everything they'd built. "They used you," I whispered. He nodded slowly. "They made you the villain, told everyone you had stolen from them. That's why Mom stopped talking to you. That's why no one believed you." My stomach turned. Years of silence, years of guilt, all built on a lie. I took a deep breath. "You're going to fix this. You're going to tell them the truth." He shook his head. "If I do that, they'll ruin me. They'll ruin her, too." I stared at him, searching for the brother I once knew, the one who used to protect me. But all I saw was fear, the same fear that had chained our entire family. "Then I'll do it," I said firmly. "I'll tell everyone." His eyes widened. "Don't, please, they'll come after you." "Let them," I said. "I've lived in their shadow long enough." He looked at me like he wanted to stop me, but he didn't move. He just whispered, "I'm sorry." I turned to leave. For the first time in years, I felt something close to peace. Not because things were fixed, but because I finally understood the truth. As I walked away, I heard him call my name. When I turned back, his voice cracked. They're already watching you. That one sentence hit harder than anything else. Watching me? I didn't ask what he meant. I just got in my car and drove off, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. In the rearview mirror, I could see him standing there by the lake, head bowed like a man who'd just buried everything he loved. That night, I didn't sleep again. Every shadow outside my window felt too still, every sound too close. Maybe he was right. Maybe I was in danger now, but something inside me had changed. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of the truth anymore. I didn't know what peace was supposed to feel like. But that night, it wasn't this. It was quiet, yes, but not calm. It was the kind of silence that comes after a storm. The air still heavy, the ground still trembling. I sat by the window, watching the city lights flicker in the distance, and thought about everything that had led me here. The lies, the isolation, the years I spent believing I was the problem. It was strange how truth could feel both freeing and devastating at the same time. For so long I'd wanted an apology, some sign that what I went through mattered. But as the hours passed, I realized something. Maybe I didn't need their apology anymore. Maybe the closure I'd been chasing wasn't something they could ever give me. It had to come from me. The next morning, I drove back to the lake, not to meet him, but to let go. The water was still, almost too still. I stood there for a long time, thinking about the version of myself that used to wait for someone to come and fix everything. She was gone now, and that was okay. I pulled out my phone, opened the folder that had haunted me for days. The video, the recordings, the messages. For a moment I hesitated. That evidence held power. It could destroy reputations, expose secrets, but it also held pain, the kind that would keep me tied to them forever. So I did something unexpected. I hit delete, not because I forgave them, but because I refused to carry their darkness any longer. I watched the progress bar fill slowly, my reflection fading in the screen. When it was done, I finally exhaled. It felt like releasing a lifetime of ghosts. Before I left, I whispered something to the wind. Not for them, but for me. I'm done surviving your story. It's time to live mine. And for the first time in years, that didn't sound like hope. It sounded like truth. If you've made it this far, thank you. Maybe you saw a bit of yourself in my story. The quiet kind of pain. The betrayal that cuts deeper than words. If so, let me tell you this. You don't need revenge to find peace. You just need truth. And the courage to walk away from those who fear it. Life has a way of revealing what's hidden, even when we try to bury it. So hold on to your light, even when the world goes dark. And if my story moved you, like, share, and stay for the next one.